You were building this accidental photo booth thing on the side while you're
Yep.
working a full-time job, right? So can you
Yeah.
take me back to that time and how did it transition from a side hustle to your main focus?
Yeah. It took some time for sure. I think really it was exhaustion. That's probably the best answer. We started the Snapbar officially got its start as an LLC or partnership, whatever the first version of our business filing was in December of 2012. We went full time in the summer of 2015. So I don't know, about 2.5 years. We were working full time and doing Snapbar on the side. And exhaustion is kind of what set in over those 2.5 years because as this side hustle grew, our ability to have weekends to ourselves, evenings to ourselves diminished because the events industry, at least back then when we were working a lot of weddings and private events and parties, was evenings and weekends. So we'd work during the day, during the week, and then in the evenings, usually starting on a Thursday or Friday, and oftentimes, again, towards the end of the 2.5 years, all through the weekend, multiple events on a Saturday, multiple events on a Sunday, potentially, we found ourselves pretty burned out. So we decided to quit something. And Snapbar was on the table to be quit. We didn't know for sure that Snapbar was the thing we were going to pursue. It was a lot of discussion back and forth. And I think ultimately the decision came to the success that this side project had had. And it was good enough to really tease us into thinking, man, what if we had more time to give to it? What could it become? And that hope was what put us over the edge, I think, to say, well, what's the worst that could happen? Let's give it a shot. It's not like we were really high up in some other careers. I think that was pretty helpful. And maybe that's something that's helpful to anyone who's getting a start in life and in business. If you're not 10 years into some prestigious company, what's the downside, right? I mean, most likely you'll be able to work again at another good company if your business idea fails. That's kind of how we were looking at it. In worst case scenario, we go back to work for someone else. We go back doing what we were doing before, and that took away a lot of the fear. I mean, there was still plenty of fear, but it took away enough of it to give us the kind of gusto to get started and go for it in the summer of 2015.
Relating to my story, I feel like I was talking about leaving the corporate world, leaving my job for a long time, telling my friends and family, and I was like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And then when it finally came time
Hmm.
for me to go in and do it, there was a lot of angst and resistance. And I kind of surprised myself at how difficult the decision it was for me. Even though I kind of decided it already, but actually going through with it, it was really very hard. And I think
Yeah.
it's glamorized and everyone wants to do it, but it's kind of scary at the same time. So once you made that decision and you and your brother were doing this full time, like you just quit your job, those very early days, what were you guys doing to make sure this thing was a success? Because people are in that position now and they don't know. Like I
Yeah.
refer to this concept called the curse of knowledge, where once you
Hmm.
know something and you make it to a certain level, you forget what it was like in the very beginning. So the people that
Yeah.
are thinking about quitting or just quit, what did you guys do? What would you advise them?
Yeah. So we did a lot of the important non-urgent stuff that we'd put off for a really long time. If you're familiar with that kind of quadrant of thinking, I'm forgetting the specific name.
The Eisenhower matrix.
Thank you. Yes, the Eisenhower matrix. While we were so busy working our full-time jobs, you could imagine, I don't know, website was a low priority. We were too busy doing the actual events on the weekend and in the evenings to worry about our brand or our presence on the internet. Marketing barely happened, right? We would do the minimum amount possible to continue booking events. But when you're not having to book that many events, because again, this was a side gig, marketing didn't seem like a huge issue. So when we went full time, we really worked on a lot of those soft skills. Yeah, I guess I would call them soft skills as to the hard skills maybe that were figuring out how to run a photo booth at an actual event. So we could have a website, or we could have a great website. We could have a brand, or we could have a really good brand that resonated with people. We could have, just no policies, or we could have a dress code that cemented our logo at the center of it to help people remember the name, the Snapbar. And those, again, soft skills is a weird word. I just kind of came up with it for this, but that's kind of how we were thinking about it. So when we had more time and we were not working events, better website, better SEO. And when I say better SEO, I know about SEO right now. I had no idea what SEO was back then. And so when better SEO meant, first of all, learning about it. What in the world is it? How do I take advantage of it? Should I hire someone to do it? That was usually a no because of the financial situation we were in. We didn't have a ton of money, so we would try to figure it out ourselves.